it seems like the year didn't begin too long ago, and here we are accelerating towards the end of the year. It just underscores how precious life is. Um, and it's almost fall, and it's a perfect time to talk about letting go. And I will be talking about this is the second talk on letting go. The last one, 2 weeks ago, I was talking about forgiveness, and I'm sure other guest speakers are going to talk about that theme, but this will be the last concerted time we'll talk about it until the Burning Bowl ceremony in January. And in order to set the stage, I wanted to share something a concept that I discovered from Carl Jung, and it's called the three births. This this concept begins with the first birth, which is the physical birth that we all know about, and many of us call this our appearance day. You're just honoring that just because we're born into this plane doesn't mean that that's the first time that we were a life. Um, and so that's our physical birth that we all know about. The second is the birth of our ego. And that's really when we find individuation, we find our individuality, and I discovered that I am David. And there's good things to that, but there are also bad things to it because we're here in this land of duality, and we're here in this land where the ego, because of its survival needs, wants to have supremacy. It wants to have all the power. So, first birth, second birth. And according to Carl Jung, that is it, unless you are willing to have what he calls this third birth. And it is spiritual awakening. And many people may not reach it because it's a choice. It's an option. And the third birth represents a shift from the whole egoic realm to a higher spiritual consciousness, or at least being a shift from being ruled by the ego to a higher spiritual consciousness. Um, and this third birth can be initiated by a tough crisis, by a rite of passage, if you will, by a, a watery or fiery initiation, as they call it. It could be initiated by a dark night of the soul. But a crucial aspect of this work of coming into this third birth is the ability to let go of what's holding us back into this world of ego. And this third birth of awakening spiritually, of course, it's not a single event. Now, for some people, it could be punctuated by or catalyzed by a single event, but the work is a lifelong process, shedding outdated beliefs of oneself and of the world that have been implanted into us. And Jung believed that, once again, that not everyone went through this because it's a choice and it's tough. The ego does not want to let go. It does not want to die. It feels threatened and it will do very sneaky things. It will resist your spiritual growth as much as possible because your spiritual growth is a threat to the ego. Um, and so this is the power that comes from letting go. And as I said, it's not a one and done deal. It's a lifetime work. So that's that's this principle of the three births from Carl Jung. Along this line, Michael Beckwith said regarding your mindset, do you live in a minefield or do you live in a garden? Do you live in a minefield or do you live in a garden? When we live in a minefield mentally, he said, we are overrun with weeds of worry, doubt, fear, lack, and limitation. So to get out of that, we must choose to cultivate our inner garden, the garden of our mind, and get rid of those weeds. So that is the work of letting go, of which I've said before. Michael Beckwith believes that letting go is the largest part, the majority of all spiritual work. That's pretty amazing. I think in New Thought, we tend to look at affirmational thinking, positive thinking, prayer. We like to listen to uplifting music. We like to go in this direction, but we're carrying the weight of all of these things that we need to let go. And we can't just hop over to this side because we begin to enter the idea of spiritual bypassing. If there's something over here that needs work, trauma, for instance, we need to feel the feeling before we deal with it. And dealing with it is the work of letting go before we're ready in many aspects to fully come into this work over here. And I think that we're constantly back and forth doing the work of both of these of this full dichotomy here. So thinking about this image of the garden, the mind is a garden. Linda Martella Whitsitt, I've been reading a book uh, by she and Deanne Morency lately, and I'm paraphrasing. She said, "We are the gardener of our soul and the architects of our lives." I just love that because personally, I have never done any gardening, but whether you think you've done gardening or not, you've been gardening all your life. You've been either tending to the garden and removing weeds, or you've been ignoring. You've been a gardener. You have over your garden by either tending to it or ignoring it, right? The same goes for architecting your life. It's being architected with your thoughts, whether you like it or not. So, in the garden of the soul, we must be willing to let go what is contrary to our sacred being and what is contrary to our transformation. So I'm going to talk about this briefly. Last week, I talked about forgiveness a lot, and I talked about this concept of forgiving 1%, this Mark Mesidorian concept. And I love that, and I apply that here today in terms of this process of letting go. So thinking about this, what is it that you can consider today in this gardening process of your soul, of letting go? And already I can feel tension in my shoulders because something is threatening it doesn't want to be let go. Or something feels, oh, I'm going to be let go of, and maybe there's some ego identification to these things that I want to let go of. Um, so I invite you to think about it. Is it your fear? Is it a story that someone told you about yourself and that you believed it for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? Is it a story that you believed? Is it resentment, judgment, anger? Is it shame, judgment turned inward? Is it needing to prove that you're right? Um, is it needing to divorce yourself from the power of other people's opinions? Is it needing to divorce yourself from your own wrong opinions about yourself that have been errant for decades, right? Is it time to examine your own beliefs about yourself as not being true? And a caveat for all this is sometimes it's not letting go something go completely is not the work that needs to be done because it's a big, fragile thing. But this is where this 1% concept comes into mind. And this is also where the serenity prayer comes into mind. And I think about, for those of you who know the serenity prayer, I gave it a little twist. The serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to insert new line, let go of the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's still that equation of inviting in change this way and not being so quick to say, I must let go of all things now. um, but remembering in total, we can't receive the blessings of the new if we're holding on tightly to the old. If if we're holding on to everything, if our ego is going, no, 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 I want you to do this and I want you to be right and I want you to do this egoic pursuit and that egoic pursuit, and I'll give you some examples, you're going to be too consumed, too have empty hands to embrace the new. So I realized, lately that I had to there's so much to let go, and it's a very broad topic. So I'm going to focus on a few things. But I had to let go of ideas about turning 60. It- I saw, oh boy, I get 10% as 60 qualifies as a senior citizen in some, depending on how you define it, 55, 60, 65. And wait, let me take a drink of water. And I get 10% off at Burger King. Yay! I get 15% off at Applebee's. And I get 15% off at Kohl's, but only on Wednesdays. Maybe when I turn 65, I'll get, Wednesdays and Fridays. I don't know. And part of me was thinking, I wasn't too cherry looking at these things. I don't want a discount on coffee at McDonald's. Well, I don't want coffee at McDonald's, but I didn't want to be a part of that club. And I was thinking just 60. And some of you may be saying, David, get over it already. But I was thinking about the mindset that people have to let go of nowadays. And looking at pictures of my parents, I were looking at pictures of them recently from when they were 10 years younger than me. And they looked 10 years older than me, at least, because everyone was telling themselves at that time, here's what 50 looks like, right? What's the retirement age? What was everybody? They weren't like out there doing more exercise, they were doing less exercise. There was this mindset of what 50 looks like. Okay. You could even go back to the times of cavemen. And I recently heard that cavemen lived for about, well, depending on what you call a caveman, there's many different types, but they lived for 25 or 30 years. But going forward in time to 18, let's say 18, the early 1800s, people were still only living to 30 or 35. But all of a sudden, there was this huge jump. Now, one of those jumps was medicine, vaccines. I don't want to get too political here, but another jump is the jump of communication and us seeing that other people were modeling what it looks like to be 60, 70, 80, 90 and be thriving. Have you met have you met a 90-year-old puppy? Like I mean, they're like some people look at me and they say, David, you're a young puppy. Okay. I've met 70, 80, 90-year-old people who are young puppies. And I just am astounded at them because they model for me something that my parents did not model for me. They model for me that I don't have to subscribe to being old in mind. And so that's one of the things that I let go. But it reminded me turning 60, David, you still have to think about letting that go. Um, Another thing, just a second thing, is just control. Control in general, letting go of control. And I won't go through that because I don't want to add 2 hours to this talk. Um, but I realized I have let go some really important things in my life. I let go of thinking that I was a remedial, slow learner. I thought in the first, second, third grade that I was not as smart as everyone else because I came in not knowing how to add one plus one and not knowing how to read. So they stuck me in a corner with the remedial kids in the first grade and kindergarten. And they treated me like I was stupid. And that was going, and in my own mind, I was treating myself like I was stupid until about the third grade when I started to ask for help. I started to ask for help. And 5 years later, I was the valedictorian of my junior high. So I let go of the identity of me as stupid. And pretty soon, by the fourth grade, they were calling me the class brain. And the thing that changed was this. It was just this, changing my mind about myself and being curious about the world. So, one more thing I let go of is this idea of wholeness being perfect health. We hear the words whole, perfect, and complete, but Who among you doesn't have some physical condition? We all have a physical condition. And I let go of I was born thinking, oh, I have to have perfect health to be whole. No, I have physical conditions that are just conditions, and yet I embrace my wholeness. So I let go of that definition. I'll share an example of a friend of mine named Mindy Pels. Some of you may know her. Uh, but she was a competitive athlete in college. She played tennis. She loved it, but she wound up with debilitating chronic fatigue where she could not get off of the sofa. She just did not have the energy. She could not get up, and she hated it because she didn't want to sit there and watch movies all day. She wanted her bliss was being out there, being physical, playing tennis. So this fatigue it waxed and waned, and it came back really hard. And she tried everything. She tried everything. And I was actually talking to her mom last night, and her mom said that Mindy said to her one day, Mom, I decided to let go of looking for a cure, of looking for why. And Mindy said to her mom, because I surrendered to the fact that I can still love from the sofa. I could still love any kids that I'm going to have. I could still love my relatives. I can still love. And guess what happened? She got better. She got better. She gave up searching. And I'm not saying this is always the way to go, but this is a beautiful example of giving up. Today, she is a New York Times bestselling author, just had her seventh book published by Hay House. She travels the world. She's she's the most energetic person I know. She is the most energetic person I know. Such a wonderful turnaround. So amazing. Um, And something in this letting go, it reminded me of Rumi when Rumi said, I used to think the saying was to get into the self, you have to get out of the self. But the actual saying is, when you lose all sense of self, the bonds of 1,000 chains will vanish. When you lose all sense of self, the bonds of 1,000 chains will vanish. And I think what they're talking about is this inviting the death of the ego, inviting the death of the ego, inviting it at least not to rule what you want to let go of, and letting this spiritual third awakened self take the reins. And it may feel like you're lost. It may feel like, oh my gosh, I had this goal and I had this goal and I had this goal, and my parents told me this and society told me this was what I needed to be successful. And it may feel like you're lost because you don't have an anchor, but you find a totally different anchor waiting for you. So this is where I turn back to this letting go, 1%. And I ask you, is there something that has come up in your mind in the last couple of minutes that is something that you're to change, willing to change? And there's a practice in New Thought called denials. And these are the opposite of affirmations. And I want you to just close your eyes for a second and think about something that you would like to give up. And to say to yourself, this, whatever it is, this thing, and you can name it, has no power over me. This, whatever it is, this fear, worry, anger, unforgiveness, regret, shame, sadness, this condition, this person has no power over my peace. This thing, whatever it is, has no power over my power. And just follow these thoughts. My willingness to let go is an invitation for healing, protection, transformation, and it's for the good and for the good of all. And think about these thoughts. I'm tired of carrying it. I don't deserve to suffer anymore with this. I've suffered enough. So just take a deep breath and just allow this 1% to happen as a forgiveness. And let this be the beginning of a process that is a continuum. And so now I turn back. Let's come in back into the room. You may remember 2 weeks ago, in Letting Go Part One, I promised to talk a little bit more about Ho'oponopono. And I want to conclude with talking about this for just a little bit. So, Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian practice. And I'm gonna read this so I can make sure to get it right. This is part of me doing some research and editing it a little bit and making sure that it's compiled from multiple sources. But it's so rich, and it is four simple phrases. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you, and I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you, and I love you. And this practice is not just directed outward. It can be directed inward. This process doesn't say it's my fault. It may say it's my fault, I did this, but it can be, in my words, this can be us talking to us talking to another. This can be the world talking to the world. Think about the world condition. So many things going on in this world condition of ours. This can be the personification of the world talking to the world. And I'll read on. Ho'oponopono means to make right or to correct. Traditionally, it was a communal practice led by a kahuna, a healer, and families would gather to resolve conflicts and pray together, confessing things together, healing things together. And the goal is to ease not only personal tensions or family tensions, but also to be in harmony with the entire cosmos. And it's a healing practice because in Hawaiian thought, this is interesting, illness and misfortune were often seen as consequences of disharmony or unresolved conflict between the peoples of the world. So there is someone that was mentioned last week. I think Margie mentioned this. Dr. Hugh Len famously applied the work of Ho'oponopono while working at a psychiatric ward. And this is really fascinating. Listen to this. Instead of trying to fix patients directly, he worked on cleansing within himself the energies that manifested as illnesses within them. Isn't that fascinating? He was asking basically if we're all connected, if we're all connected, then cleaning and cleansing my consciousness will affect their consciousness because we're all connected. Okay? This is a great thing about us being here. We're changing the world through the butterfly effect of changing one heart at a time, right? So I'll go on. It says, what makes Ho'oponopono unique is the teaching that everything we experience, even conflict, suffering, or negativity, is showing up in our awareness, and thus, in some way, we are participants in it. We are active participants in this energy, and we can clear these patterns, memories, energies that contribute to disharmony in the collective field of consciousness. I'll say that again. We can clear these patterns, memories, and energies that contribute to disharmony in the collective field of consciousness. It sounds very new thought thinking, doesn't it? So I'll conclude with these four phrases. We'll go inner one more time. We'll think about this, just the energy of these. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And you can say this to yourself. Thank you. I love you. Now think of someone saying this to you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And now you can think about the world saying this to all the citizens of the world. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And now you can envision all the citizens of the world saying this to the world. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And thank you is an expression of gratitude that healing is already underway. This is what's going to happen in this one of the steps, one of the prayer steps in New Thought is basically saying thank you for what is already underway, what is already in process, what already is done. Thank you for this healing that is taking place right now. So I am complete, and I hope you enjoyed this talk. And I'm going to spotlight Amy Steinberg right now.
Well, as usual, you are amazing. And as usual, I'm writing something for you on the spot. If you've never been here when I'm here, I just kind of write down some notes and see how it works out. Letting go. In the garden of the soul, we must be willing to let go. The fears that live in the ego, and all the stories you tell, and all the stories you've been told, what needs to be weeded out. What is your garden all about? We can't receive the blessings of the new when we are all wrapped up in some pursuit. So let go and know that as you grow now, on Wednesdays, you get a 15% discount at Kohl's. That was for you, David. Seriously, you're a young puppy. Let go of control. It's okay to not be okay. You are whole. No matter what your body is doing today, you are perfect right now. And you can still love, surrender to love, surrender to love. It's what you're made of. Oh, lose all sense of self and feel the way the chains of 1,000 worries fall away. Oh, let go as you grow. Fear, worry, shame, unforgiveness, it has no power over me. One heart at a time, just 1% change changes the world. Each of one of us has the same power to heal. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. Thank you, thank you, I love you. We can receive the blessings of the new when we are all wrapped up in some old story, some old pursuit, yeah. So let go, let go. In the garden of the soul, we must be willing to let go. Namaste.